I'm gonna share with you guys some of the hustle that I've learned along my way, and I've been doing sales for a very long time. And this script, I think, is being slept on. To be honest with you, when more people discover the free content and the free value that I give on social media, I personally feel that if anyone can check the ego at the door and get past the Filipino dude that's on the camera inside the fucking car or at the gym, you know what I mean? Get past that shit, but actually listen to the message. I think it actually addresses some of the common issues and problems that we face on an everyday basis because we're not here for the hourly, right? So our challenge is, because we love the upside of being able to somewhat control our income, we have to know what to do after we put in all the work and put in all the practice. But it's not naturally going to come. You're not going to watch a video on there and be like, oh fuck, hell yeah, now I'm going to make $100,000 this month. You know, it don't work that way, but it will help you gain a little bit less resistance in the everyday function or everyday task that you guys do. And so I wanted to bring up this script because this is what's happening right now. The way the market has changed. The only people that are going to do a refinance right now are not going to be those that we sell rate and fees to. Okay. There will be those. I mean, there's going to be the rare ones who still are eligible for HARP, right? But then we have to ask ourselves, why the fuck haven't you done HARP in a while? It's been available for 10 years. You know, did you not get the memo? And then you got people who are at 5.5% and they didn't refinance. And and I know that there's a ton of value, but for whatever reason, that person still doesn't go through. You know, we've all ran across that. We're sitting there trying to explain how the sky's blue and water's wet. You know, and true fucking facts that they just will not accept. And it might be a big loan amount, so we might be blinded, right? And say, man, I can make a fat rip on this one, dude. I know I can flip this guy. So then we spend fucking an hour here, an hour there, 3 days here, 3 days there. And just because of that file, we've missed out on so much opportunity in the interim. Not only that, but we've also kind of preset our momentum, and momentum is a very important ingredient in sales because you need to have that positive gain, right? And every time you come across a lead that you feel like you didn't flip, or you're actually chasing, or you're putting in the most for, can actually counteract that momentum, because you'll feel like, fuck, dude, I'm not doing my job, when really it's just them. You know what I mean? 99% of the time, it's actually just the client. It's not us. We're skilled. We know what we're doing. We genuinely want to help. But where that line kind of gets blurred is where we start using tendencies that all humans have, like the shortcut, fuck, I don't want to go through all this. I'm gonna just go straight to the point. Hey, do you want to buy? The market's at 4%. What do you want to do? You know, because you're frustrated. You just had a bad call before, or maybe, you know, you didn't hit your tier this month, and so there goes that momentum. That's why the momentum is important, right? And so these little tidbits that I share with you, whether it's every other Tuesday or these random breakfasts that are thrown last minute, you know, you guys are gonna walk away with some value if you guys are open-minded and you guys implement it. And you know, I've gotten some reviews, and I'm probably gonna stalk you guys as well for some reviews because I like that shit. And the content that I'm feeling, that I'm getting back, and these are also from people that I don't know. You know, those who I work with, so I don't take it as kind of a biased opinion, like, oh, because I'm a manager, you got to say something nice. It's common comments, and it has to do with wordplay and mindset. And so inside this meeting, we're going to talk about wordplay and why it's important right now, because I think that, you know, with the calls that we hear inside these meetings, we're getting to witness firsthand of things that we all are guilty of, right? Where we're not necessarily going through the gates of the sale. And it's the gates of the sale that actually is what helps all of us save time, because we don't want to talk about a program that this person is either not interested or not qualified for, okay? And so, and why that applies now is because if you got someone, and these are recordings that we all listen to. All the managers have to listen to at least 3 or 4 recordings a week. So we're up to about 1 per day. And we do come across some very strong ones, but what we want to do is we want to magnify the incorrect ones, because we want to show you what not to do first, so you can use your creativity to improve from there. Okay, because there's no right way to do it. Everyone has their own style, everyone has their own gist. But I think that this script is going to apply to anyone. If you can implement this right now, you're going to find less resistance, more control over the phone call. You will turn from a salesman to a consultant. And I think that is going to be the new salesman. It's going to be the consultant. It's not going to be the guy who sells, who taps dance better, who has the coolest shirt, who has the nicest car, or the coolest fucking title. I have an SR by my title. Do you know who you're talking to? You know, that was a big thing back in the day, but you know, who cares? So where we're gonna learn on here, this is available again at salesremastered.com, and it's actually it's just a bonus feature, and there's a PDF download you guys could get if you need a copy. But what it is it says it's an inbound sales script, opener line to retain control of the conversation and find value to keep your prospect's attention to move forward. And that's what selling is keeping attention. It's not closing. You know, there's a set order. The reason why gates of the sale is effective is because there's an order of a sale. Gates of the sale, don't let it confuse. There's a lot of NAF signature exclusive content in there, right? Like talk about NAF, get your mindset ready. But in short, what it's telling you is that every sales conversation has a process. And the big lesson is that closing is separate than selling, and closing happens at the end. You can't just start with closing. And 99% of the leads that are falling through are not even being flipped or going into the dialer or being ignored and not being called back because we just learned about go dial yesterday, kind of in detail, are those that we try to close before we listen, sell, negotiate, and so forth, right? And that's the gates of the sale. And so the idea is to really revise your opening words here. And some of you in here might already be doing it. I'm confident, actually. I know some of you in here are already doing it because I can tell by your numbers. You're going to know you're already doing it if your close ratio is high. Like, you don't need to talk to 100 people to flip 10, right? You could talk to 50 and flip 10. You could talk to fucking 40 and flip 10. Look at Winston's numbers. Winston took 51 leads, but he's at, I think, 11 originations. And he's been off for the last week. Right? And it's just simple. It's kind of, and everyone gets better as they go. So if that's not your ratio right now, don't sweat it. You got this script now. Okay? All right. So the verbiage in this opening line will convey a few things that will ease the anxiety of your prospect. Demonstrate that you are the person that can help and keep your control of the conversation so that you can ask powerful sales questions that will unlock the information you need to make the sale with less resistance. And in essence, what that means is their anxiety is they don't want to be sold, right? So if you stop and really look at the main issue at hand, it's because these prospects who call in have already been blown up by 9 other companies. They already got denied by 9 other companies. They just got pitched by some schmuck who works at a broker who doesn't know what their job is, who doesn't know how to do their job, and they burned them. You know, like, fuck, I just spent $600 for an appraisal on a loan I didn't even qualify for. And so we can't get mad at them, as easy as it is to reflect our frustration, because fuck, we're going through the grind too, right? Like, I'm not where I want to be right now, and so we kind of convey that over the phone. And why we don't go through the proper process is because we're making time for everything else on our plate, whether it be chasing that one deal with the higher rip, like this guy will not understand the value. Right, but we want to keep chasing it because we see the upside to the commission amount, the loan amount, right, the savings. So we're determining whether or not we pursue it. Whereas the time we take to pursue that, we could be investing elsewhere. And so this script is actually going to open up your prospects so you can find out right away if they deserve to go through the next gate and then the next gate and then the next gate. But more importantly, as they go through those gates, you're going to be the one in control. And the call that we had yesterday was a perfect example of someone who didn't have control of the call. That frustrated me because, if anyone in this room would have had it because of you guys' dedication, your hustle, and you guys wanting to be better, I'm sure you guys probably would have done a way better job. If that person's listening, no disrespect, but thank you for that example. And it shows us what we've done. I've done that before. You know, I'll do it still today because I'm trying to juggle too many things. But the whole point why I'm trying to juggle too many things is because I need more fundings, right? So it's ironic It's like we're ignoring potential business to go and chase business. And this is going to help you find out whether or not it's worth your time and whether or not it's worth the prospect's time. Cool? So the line goes like this. So let's say if John's being transferred, and it's very, very minimal. In my opinion, I think less is more. And we can compare it to the common intro. But in short, it goes, hello, John, I can help you. I am authorized, and that's powerful, just I can help you. Okay? There's words that trigger certain emotions. And I think that is one. So I can help you. I'm authorized, another one, to give you the information you need, another one. But before I do, this is powerful, let me make sure we're in the right place. I'm going to ask a few basic questions, and this will let me know if I can bring any value to where you are now, where you're at now. If I cannot, I'll save you a ton of time and I'll point you in the right direction. Why this is effective is because you're on their same level, you're on their same frequency. Their frequency is, I don't want to waste no time. I just want to know if you could beat my rate. I just want to know if you can give it for free. And I just want to know if your turn time is 24 hours and I don't want to give you no info. It's all fucking outlandish shit, right? But I'm not going to get mad at them, right? It's just like getting mad at my 2-year-old for asking me a dumbass question. I'm going to say, what the fuck? What's wrong with you? You know what I mean? I'm not going to do that because it's not going to do any good. That person's not going to grow. I'm not going to grow. And so why I think that this is more effective is because you're already answering their objections. And their objection is, I don't have time. Their objection is, can you make a decision? Are you the person I should be talking to? Because in other organizations, these people talk to everyone from a customer service agent to a receptionist to an assistant to a junior LO to an LO and then a closer, right? So you don't know what their experience is, but if you give them some sort of sense that they've come to the right spot, they'll keep listening. And the key thing is, which I put in bold writing right underneath the script, the key is that you move straight into the interview. Do not give them a chance to agree or say anything. Just move right into your sales conversation and interview. What I think most of us, from the calls that I've heard, is it actually ends with a dead-end question. In my opinion, the dead-end question is a yes or no answer. But another dead-end question is, what's your goal? You know, even though it's in the gates of sale, VP of sales will tell you, hey, ask them what their goal is. That's one of the gates of the sale. In my opinion, I never did that. That's me though, right? You got to find what works for you. Why I never did that is because I was going to answer what they needed. I wasn't going to let them tell me that they needed the rate, that they needed the fees, because they don't buy the rate, they don't buy the fees. Does that make sense? So if I ask them, what do you want to do? I give them a chance of saying, oh, well, I got a 3.5%. I just want to know if you could beat it for free. Then it's going to mess up my whole entire momentum, my spew, right? I'm going to start thinking like, oh man, the rate sheet this morning said 4.5, right? Or, oh man, this person's last name is this, right? And then I start pre-qualifying it. And that's where I think a lot of the leads are dying and not too many sales are being generated simply because we're not doing this simple task right up front. And so the key is to move right into the interview with a powerful question that's going to open up the conversation. So to give you an idea, it says that you'll want to manufacture 3 powerful sales funnel questions. Sales funnel questions are basically questions that you're going to ask them that will lead towards which direction you should go. Because right up front, we have 4 directions we can go initially, right? We can go Fannie, Freddie, FHA, or VA. There's nowhere else. You guys agree? It's going to be either one of those doors. And some of the questions that we always ask right away to identify which door we can go through is, you know, is this house on Myford your primary home? Right? It's going to let us know if Govy loans are right out of the picture. Because, oh, no, it's an investment or whatnot. But more importantly, you're going to be able to identify what limitations you have if you go through the doors. Am I going to be limited on equity? Am I going to be fucked on income? Right? It's giving you the telltale signs, because I'm not going to talk about a 3.5, 30-year fix on a primary residence because I didn't ask this dude that if it's a rental or some shit, or, you know, if it's a second home. And if you go right into the conversation with these questions, it's going to keep them engaged, but also at the same time let them know that you know what you're talking about. And that's why I say your house on Myford. So I'm reading the property profile, right? Whatever their street address is. And I don't call them Mr. Jones or Mr. Nicart. I call them straight up John. You know, if their name's Daniel, I'll even say Dan, right? Because I want to kind of create some sort of bond or open forum where I'm not selling them. Again, what I didn't put on here is that consulting really, in my opinion, is the new selling, and the faster you can convey yourself as a consultant, there's more attraction that way. Okay. But whatever questions you create, you want to create like 3 to 5 funnel questions that will give you details that you need to help you save time and identify the prospect who you should spend your time with. Most importantly, uncover the content that brings your prospect the most value so they purchase from you that day. And I think that a lot of us are interested in the one call close. We just have to really understand the definition of a one call close. A one call close is, you got the Martinelli one call close where he actually literally does everything in one call, from the app to the AUS to the lock script, all in one call. But that, we have different styles. This man used to sell $300,000 RVs in person, so he's a little bit more patient, right? Not me. I want to dig down, figure exactly out what the details are, and then hit those emotions right away and keep it moving. Because that's the only way I'm going to be able to create that momentum to get 2 or 3 that day, right? So my opinion for a one call close is still one call close, meaning the sale actually happens in this call. It doesn't happen in the second call. The second call is more or less confirming, right, what your findings were. And so I'll give you an example how usually the very first thing that I would do, or that I see top producers do, is that they always have the BV screen and the property profile screen up. And the property profile screen not only gives you an idea of when they last refinanced, but it gives you a sense of authority to the person you're talking to, because you're naming things that they already recognize, right? So if you talk to somebody, a stranger, and they started naming things off that applies to you, you're like, man, this guy, okay, cool. This guy knows what's up, right? You'd be shocked how not too many of our competitors actually do that. Not too many of our competitors even list off their street address, call them by their first name, say things that impact them, because they're too focused on what's your goal, right? What's your goal? How can I help you? Or, can we begin? They're asking dead-end questions that don't matter. You got to be able to because of the way the market is, we have to understand that not everyone's going to flip right now, right? Not everyone's going to buy right now. If you're still on that train that was applicable last year, you're going to be setting yourself up for failure. You're going to start growing resentment and thinking it's the market, it's the leads, it's the company, it's the training, it's fucking Daniel and his curse words, right? You're going to blame everything. And really what it is just identifying the market and figuring out that, okay, well, last year I was able to talk to 4 people and close 1. This year I just need to talk to at least 8 people to close 1, and accept it. The faster you accept it, the faster you can make the subtle tweaks you need to keep your income the same. And I think that the shock of what's coming in is because everyone wants to keep their income the same, but production is low. And what do you do when you're in the panic? You start fucking getting aggressive. Right? You start getting like you're in a rush. Hey, what do you want to do? What, you got 3.5? Oh, it doesn't look like you can do it. Okay, next one. Right? Oh, you want an equity line of credit? Damn, this guy wants another standalone second. Nope, can't help you. On to the next one. But yes, you can. You can help each and every single one of those people. Right? You just need to kind of open up your mind and really find out why they're interested in saving money to begin with. And this is what's going to help you. So the 3 funnel questions, or the 3 to 5 funnel questions that you create, should not only lead them towards a direction, but also have them answer questions that apply to the sale. So go further than an answer of, I just want a lower rate. A lot of us will accept it. Okay, cool, want a lower rate. Simple and plain. It's fucking simple, right? But when you break down the question in itself, what they're really saying is that they need some sort of cash flow. They need some sort of savings. And then they have a plan already to use that savings. The key is to find out what their plan is, because that is what your conversation is going to be geared around, right? And so, after I find out like it's her primary residence, and I ask a funnel question that will let me know what kind of loan they have, because I have the property profile up, I'll go right into it and say, what's your main goal? Is it to create savings or pay this house off faster? And both of them, have two different results. One is going to create monthly cash flow. The other one is going to help them meet a deadline. And why a deadline is likely is because you don't know if these people plan to retire. You don't know their age yet, right off the bat. You don't know if their age is planning to retire in 15 years, right? So and they're on a 30-year loan, but their income's going to dramatically change in 10. Those are the emotional ties that we don't know about if we simply ask, what's your goal? Oh, my goal is to lower my rate. Okay, well, I'm just going to go ahead and ignore all these other pieces and go straight into pricing. That's where your deal dies. That's where you become deflated. That's where you'll find that it's just because of the leads. The leads. These leads don't work. The lead is a lead. You know, it means it puts someone in front of you, someone to contact you. You still have to sell. You still have to use your charisma, your characteristics to break that person down and find out how you can help them through using the services of NAV, right? So, why I asked what's your goal of creating savings or paying the house off faster is because I want to know what their view is. Can this person afford a higher payment, right? Or does this person need extra money? Because the faster you identify which direction to go, the faster you know which doors not to go down or not to open, right? I'm not going to open a door on FHA Cash Out or FHA Streamline if this dude has a ton of equity and his main goal is to pay the house off, right? But if I do find out this guy's FHA and I do find out he needs some extra savings, I'm not going to say, oh man, this guy doesn't have any equity. I'm going to try to get creative to find out how I can create a loan that's going to help him get out of MI. And even if I can't get him out of MI right now, what I can do is use my experience, my resources to create a plan for this dude. Yeah, all day. What do you need, right? That's how you gotta look into it. Yeah, absolutely. Same if the person called and say, hey, you marketed a 2.75 buy down last year. You still got that? Yes, I do. All right. Look at it that way, because what you want to do is just open them up and get their attention. That's selling, right? And through the selling, you're listening to what they want to do, but you're listening to it properly. Meaning that you're not listening to, I want a lower rate, I want no fees, and then reacting off that. You're listening to, they want extra money, they want a good deal, and you're reacting off that, right? And that's all it is. That's all they're saying. It's just they're using an abbreviation. You know what I mean? They're using the BRB or the TY. They're just telling you an abbreviated version of it and saying, I want a lower rate or lower payment. And so whatever questions you manufacture that ultimately end up taking the prospect from hello to here's my social is going to be dependent on how much control you have over the conversation. And so why I think that script is going to give you control is because you already set the precedence of the call right in these first two sentences. I don't even think that's two. I think that's one. Yeah, it's one sentence. Oh, no, two. I can help you use one, right? Which the very first thing that I say. And why I think it's effective is because, as I had mentioned, there are certain words that can trigger an emotion, right? Words that trigger a feeling, just like music can trigger a certain emotion, a certain energy. And the shit applies to communication. We just need to be creative on how to use that, and I can go way down the rabbit hole on that because I love that. I love the psychology of it. I love the, there's something called NLP, which is neuro-linguistic programming. Very powerful stuff. I mean, it's powerful. It's the same things that politicians use. It's the same things that psychologists use. People on infomercials use. And, you're damn near about to call. Those dudes, they're the ones using NLP. Like, I don't really need 3 cheese graters, but fuck it. You know what I mean? Like, this guy's good. Like, he's using NLP. And I would say an easy example where when I first ran into NLP, I appreciated this. I used to sell loan mods, and there's this trick of saying buy now, you will know, right? And what you're doing is just telling them buy now, right? That's NLP. You're kind of telling them things, but it sounds a certain way, where they'll have to rethink it and be like, wait, did you just tell me buy now? All right, fuck it, I'm gonna buy now. Shit. Dude, there's certain triggers, but it applies also on the first call, where if you sound just like the competitor that they talked to before, you're gonna trigger that emotion, right? You're gonna trigger and they're gonna do the same shit to you. they're going to ask you, or you're going to see their last name, or you're going to see their address or their property type or their loan, and it's going to trigger an emotion for you. It's going to trigger an emotion based on, oh, fuck, I dealt with one of these dudes last month. One of these dudes, what the hell are you talking about? Everyone's different. But it triggered something. Like someone said, I only want something for free. Your energy goes down. Fuck, now I got to go through the grind of explaining that this dude, nothing in life is for free. Right? There is no such thing as no fee. What? 2.5, right? We kind of create that for ourselves. But the sooner that we can deflect it and understand that it's really just a trigger, you can play the game right back, right? And so this sentence is very powerful. I believe it's NLP the fuck up. It's saying I can help you. I'm authorized. I'm going to give you information you need. Before I do that, though, let me make sure you're in the right place, right? I'm going to ask a few basic questions. This is just dismantling their guard. And this will let me know if I can move forward, because the last thing they want to do is spend time on the phone with a salesman, right? And so when you go forward and you find out exactly what it is they need, start to lean on that. Where I think a lot of the issues or the challenges come into play is because we're listening to it from kind of just the words in itself, and we're trying to still appease the customer. We're too busy wondering if we can get hired for the job. There's a certain tone. If you guys been in a job interview, right? I hope you guys haven't been in a job interview lately. If you have, motherfucker, no, I'm just like, but what I'm getting at is if you were a fly on the wall listening to an interview, there's a certain tone, right? There's a certain tone from the person giving the interview versus the person getting the interview. Right? Person getting the interview is fucking straight up, right? Saying the right words, saying Mr., sitting up straight and shit like they want to be the first to go to recess. Right? But then you will pay attention to the one giving the interview. They're in control. They're naturally already kind of have that confidence, exuding from them. And they're the one in the position to make the decision. So what you want to do is almost like flip that. Right? And there's, going back to NLP, there would be words that I say in my close that challenges them, makes them the interviewee, such as, it all sounds great and all, but I can't give this to you until you confirm you qualify for it. I'd love to help you, but you need to demonstrate your ability that you can even lock this loan, right? Now it's like the challenge is on their desk. That's some shit they don't hear. Everyone else like, yeah, I can lock this right now. Can you send me your fucking W-2 tax returns, your whole entire life? You send it to me? Okay, cool. I'm going to lock it right now. You're safe. You're good. All right. Look forward to working with you. That's not going to buy you the loyalty, right? It's not going to, because the next person from New American Funding that calls and uses a script, they're going to take that deal because they were able to relate to them on a different level. It wasn't an interview. It was more of like kind of a collaboration. Like, hey, I'm going to work with you to figure this out. If not, I'm going to point you in the right direction. And they got to be able to feel that in your tone. Right? They don't want to feel like, hey, I can do anything you want, and if I don't get a price, then I'm gonna let you know. That is all out the window. If we focus a little bit more on actually helping them, and then keeping the words that they use, like whether they need savings, say, oh yeah, Daniel, I need savings, then that's different than if someone says, hey, Daniel, I want to know how much you could save me, because that person may not need it. Right, but if they say they need, then you want to pay attention to that, because then you want to reiterate those words. Kind of like the same issues of right when you talk to them, they might tell you, oh yeah, Daniel, I talked to Loan Depot, I had a horrible experience. Anchor that word. Use horrible against anything, like competitor wise, right? You don't want to have any more horrible experiences talking to these other lenders you're going to talk to, because they're going to associate that word with Loan Depot. That make sense? It's little subtle things like that make a difference. And if you want to free up extra time, if you want to avoid chasing or beating a dead horse, then those are the details that are going to matter most in this market. That's what's going to help you sell a higher rate. That's what's going to help you sell a higher fee. And it's what's going to help you keep the loyalty from these people that you're engaging with every day. And that's all we want, is we just want them to comply with what we're saying. And in subtle words, you're going to essentially say that you're better than everyone else, and there's no need to talk to anyone else because we're the same store, right? But there's a time to say that, just like there's a time to start the close, where if you take on the call, you go through this pitch, and then let's say you do the line perfectly right, the line works, but it doesn't stop us as salesmen from throwing up all over the phone and still talking ourselves out the deal. And if you follow this process and you practice it and you get better at it, you're going to see the results. But if you kind of just take the sentence and then keep your same old style of throwing up and asking too many questions and going in for the close, it's not going to work. You're going to still have the same issue. The reason why this script is being recommended is because we already know what's stopping us. We know that it's the prospect asking for the 2.530 fix. It's a prospect saying they don't want to give you any information. It's the prospect that tells you they only want a standalone HELOC, right? And regardless of whatever the lead source is, this could be a fucking trigger lead. The line still makes sense. The script still works. And where I think that, and when I say I think, I'm talking about the numbers that Chad creates. Chad is like a guru on Excel. He'll know exactly from your login time to your first call to how many outbounds to, so it's all broken down, and we kind of see it from a percentage standpoint. And you'll see in comparison from last year to this year, last year you were able to take calls and just kind of say right off the bat, how can I help you? It was easy because the market was still in demand. There were still rates that could help most people. Well, the market's changed, so that approach has already evolved. We can't go right into price. We can't go right into closing. And this process helped me sell $5,000 retainers on one call close on a shitty product called loan modifications. This one single line or this strategy, this process helped me sell $80,000 driveways knocking door to door. And that's when the market died. I went to a place called Systems Paving. You guys probably see their trucks around. And what I did was I had to actually sell paving stones for driveways, pools, and shit like that. I had no idea what I was doing, but I was making sales. I had no idea about construction. I don't think I own a hammer. I don't, right? So, but that's where everything started. But nonetheless, the sale in itself is all the same. It applies to every industry. It applies to every sales situation, whether it's consumer to or business consumer or business to business, is because it's just attacking the emotion. The emotion is what's going to make the decision. If you can find out what that person loves, what they fear, or what they need to maintain or survive, you own that person. Does that make sense? And I want you to firmly believe that. If you know what that person loves, you know what to do. You know what they fear, you know exactly what to do. You know what they need to maintain, you just have that much more leverage over them, right? But if you look at it from a context point of view, from just the words like love, like what if this person loves long walks on the beach? What the fuck does that do to help me? No, bro. I'm talking about love, like what they love about their life, what they love, like their kids. They're gonna do anything that they can for their kids. Right? Like, I want my kids to go to this private school. I got it. Now I know what you love, because that's a strong emotion. Now, fear is like, I know you have fear of your lifestyle changing, right? You have fear of this loss of money that's coming up. How the fuck are you going to afford life if you're check to check right now? That fear, because that's an emotion that you could sell on. Maintenance or survival. X amount, and for those of us who are already using that net approach, if you guys aren't using that net, I'm getting a lot of good comments on that net is just it's a catchy way of saying after your gross income, because I'm just looking at your gross, and that's all we look at on the 1003, right? Is hey, you know what, to be honest with you, I just see your gross. I don't see your net income after all the taxes are taken out of, but I'm not even worried about that. What I'm worried about is something called net. And net means of your net income that comes in, all of your expenses on your credit report, all expenses not on your credit report, your groceries, your utilities, your child's daycare, your hobbies, that crack habit. After all those are paid, what's the net of your net? And then they're going to say, oh, my net's $1,000. But you have to ask them, okay, and elaborate further, because that's going to give you the emotion you need. So dig further. What do you do with that 1,000? Oh, I put it right into the bank. Nowhere. Awesome. How much on average is your balance month to month in your bank? They're going to tell you all about $1,200. So immediately you're already seeing things that don't add up, right? But you're not going to find out those clues if you just ask them, well, what's your goal? So, because I know that that's the answer, they all are going to tell you, I net about 500 after everything's paid. I net about 2,000. Some will even say 3,000. Their fucking gross is 2,000. That's how far off they are, right? Like, okay, cool. What do you do with it? Just kind of go through the process. Don't fight them and say, that doesn't make sense. What are you, stupid? You got to you just realize what kind of person you're talking to. And instead of getting mad, just realize, oh, this person probably doesn't take care of the finances. So that's another clue that I'm not going to pitch this person. Right? Why am I going to pitch this person and leave it up to someone who doesn't even know their math to explain math to the person that does the math? That make sense? All right. And that in itself will save you a lot of time. But if you find out and say, okay, well, I got $1,000 in net, beautiful. What do you do with that 1,000? I put it right in the bank. Now it opens up the door to ask them the absolute most powerful question that we as financial advisors can learn. And it's how much their average checking and savings balance is. Very powerful. If you could find that out and every single one of your call, you've already increased the likelihood of flipping that person. Regardless they got 50 grand in the bank or regardless they got $50 in the bank. You just know how to spend your time. Right? So that net question is a funnel question to figure out the information you need to close that person. So then, say, okay, well, what do you do with that $1,000? Oh, I put it right in the bank. Great. How much on average would you say your balance is in that checking and savings account? My average balance, I think, is like 2,000. And as they are explaining it, they're going to say words that you need to listen to. Like, oh, I think my wife said it's 2,000. Boom. Now I know who the finance holder is. Oh, I think my husband handles all that, but I think we have 3 grand. Boom. Now I know who the finance holder is, right? The husband. And you have to find that out because just find it out. And so the net, like let's say I have an average of, they're going to say, oh, I got an average of $1,000, $2,000. Very rarely do you come across someone that has more than 1 month living expenses in their bank. Would you agree? It's very true. This is fucking true fact. And when you find that out, don't immediately go in for the close like I only got $100 in the bank. Ha, gotcha. So our options are, no, massage that shit. Keep extracting it. Like, okay, I got you. Just and try not to perk up. Like, oh, okay, now sound more interested because then that triggers them. It's like, wait, why is this fucker being nice to me? It's like that person that that they're being super nice and you're thinking in your head like, oh, great, what does this guy want? Right? That you start bringing back that emotion. But when you find out that this person has an average of $500 or $1,000 in the bank, then the next question would be, well, are you noticing that balance stays the same or are you pulling from that from time to time? Again, another powerful question because you're getting an idea of what it's like to be in their shoes. The faster you get an idea of their perception, the faster you can communicate to them properly, right? You're not just talking about how cool NAF's logo is anymore. You're talking about stuff that they relate to and really impacts them because our competitors are not doing that. Our competitors are just saying, hey, I do have the lowest rate, no fees, but there's no personalization to it. And people love custom fit stuff. We're naturally wired to want things on demand, right away, custom fit. This is technology. And so when you find out and say, oh, you know what, I think it stays the same or I think I'm pulling money from it, then you know what direction to go. So I'm not going to pitch that dude who just told me that they're check to check. I'm not going to pitch them a plan to pay their house off in 10 years. I'm not even going to pitch them the I can. It's irrelevant, right? But let's say if I go further and I find out this dude has a 640 FICO, he's got a ton of equity, all right, and this guy just wants some savings, I'm not going to veer away from the FHA. Right, a lot of us would, but we have to realize that those hits under OB are a lot of the reasons why you don't get the pricing you guys want. Now, one thing that Ray taught me when I was on his team, or no, actually Martinelli taught me, was very powerful and I still use it this day, is you actually use those adjustments under OB as leverage, meaning you turn it into kind of an educational standpoint, right? So you'll get hits like 1.75 because the FICO is 624. Right? So now I start working that into my pitch. I don't say, oh, I can't get you this. I'm saying, hey, you know what? Because the FICO's at 620, here's my recommendation. Ideally, in the next 6 to 12 months, I want to get you above 700. That's the only way you're going to last this game. It's the only way you're going to play it. When you tell them that way, they understand a little bit more, right? Because you're the pro. You're the one who has the inside detail, inside tips. And prospects love that shit. They love knowing about like little details. It's kind of like being behind the scenes. That's why reality TV is so popular. You kind of want to be able to see some shit that goes beyond the scene, some real shit. And anyway, going back to that net, why it's important to find out that question is because as you go through your pitch and they say, you know what, Daniel, I don't want to pay $3,000 for 4.5%. I don't want to do this loan. I can pay off my $20,000 in credit card debt by myself. I got the money in the bank. Even though we know, no, you don't, bro. You got $500 in the bank. I'm not going to say that. I'm saying, yeah, absolutely. You do have that option considering you do have $500 in the bank, you know, and I'm sure that's an option too. I'll say it in a different way. So even if they tell you the reasons why not to buy, I'll go right back over all of the love, fear, and self-preservation or surviving emotion ties that I gathered in my first call, right? And I'll say, well, you know what, Ted, if your main goal was to have more than $500 in your bank at any given time, you're not going to be able to do it in your current state. But fortunately, I do have a plan I want to run it by you real quick. What do you think of this? And now it's not a pitch, it's a collaboration. Does that make sense? Now it's teamwork. And you don't even need to ask for the close if it's teamwork. Right? They'll tell you, oh yeah, you know, that's a fucking great idea. Let's use that one. That's the buy. So okay, cool. And this is where it gets tricky because you don't want to say, okay, cool, I'm gonna go ahead and lock it in right now. Don't give them a sense that they're done. If you give them a sense that they're done, then the likelihood of getting them steps back to you is not going to be as fast as you want it, right? So you still have to keep selling. You still have to keep closing and say, you know what? Okay, cool. Here's the thing though. I don't even know if you qualify for the loan. I need to validate a few things. I'm going to need a few items. My assistant's going to email you a super short, quick checklist. Because I'm a direct conduit to the source, I don't need as much paperwork. Again, NLP. I'm planning shit that they are afraid of. They're afraid of big paperworks. They're afraid of archiving shit from 2002 when they don't need to, but that's their perception. Does that make sense? I'm entertaining that idea. It's like, oh yeah, super short, quick checklist. Once I get this back, it's gonna let me know if you have a bridge to cross. I'll say some shit like that. Or once I confirm that you're able to begin, I'll let you know if you know doing an appraisal is even worth your time. And they like to hear that because no other lender is doing it. Most lenders are saying, hey, I'll pay for an appraiser. They'll have them out there, and like in a week from now, I just need all your paperwork. Cool. You know, it's more like being rushed, and I think that they want to be educated on something of this matter because it is somewhat of an intimidating subject. Now, on the flip side, you're going to come across prospects who don't care about that shit, and those are fucking great, right? And this is where it's like, hey, whatever you need to do, just tell me what you need to do. I'll have my girlfriend send it over. Just get it done. Those are awesome, and I think we've all run across those. It's basically those who don't really care about the shot. They don't care about it. They just want to get it off their plate. And it's still even possible to talk yourself out of a sale on that one because you're still worried about fucking talking about underwriting guidelines. Oh, well, you're at 72% LTV and the combined loan to value per Fannie Mae guideline. They don't care about that shit, right? But just pay attention to who you're interacting with. And the sooner that you can find out these emotional ties is going to let you know whether or not you should invest time. And this is what this script is for. Cool. So finishing off the page, it says, besides manufacture 3 to 5 powerful sales funnel questions that will give you the details you need to help you save time, identify a prospect you should spend your time with, and most importantly, uncover the content that brings your prospect the most value so they purchase from you that day. You will want to make these questions seem like an actual conversation and avoid giving the impression that you're doing an application of some sort. Yesterday's phone call example, we all felt that he was doing an application, right? It was just like, okay, what's your value? What's your loan amount? You know, if you go through an application, you're going to trigger certain objections yourself. Like, oh, whoa, wait, before we even go through this, because I just went through this fucking rigorous application process right before I called you. I don't want to commit. Right? It sounds common. Oh, I don't want to give you any information. It's because we're asking them the same way that our competitors are asking them. But if you make it into a conversation, say, yeah, this property on this is your primary home, right? Cool. Looks like you just actually refinanced in 2014 with Chase. Remember what rate? That's a conversation. Not, okay, is this your primary home? When's the last time you refinanced? What's the name of your lender? What's the loan balance? That's a fucking application. That's a step-by-step. It's boring. But if you find a way to make it into a conversation, I think you'll get a little bit more compliance. But that's going to come up be based on your creativity, based on your conversation flow right now. And so only you can design what those questions are, because it's going to be in line with how you sell. And if you can shift the way you sell right now, make small adjustments to just incorporate actually wanting to help the person you're talking to, you're going to get a different response, right? You have to now look at it as like your cousin, or maybe your aunt or your uncle sent your best friend. Or treat it like this. Let's say Christy Bunce emailed you and said, hey, this is my best friend, I want you to take care of him. You're going to treat that person in a different way when you're not, versus just a regular internet lead. Why? But why? Is because you say, oh man, this is my boss. This is my boss's boss's boss. Right? Like, okay, cool, I'm going to take care of him. Yeah, man, what do you need? I'm not going to sell this person. I'm just going to take care of him, right? Because this is your boss's boss's boss. So if you need to make believe that everyone is a Christy Bunce referral just to put yourself in that mindset, do that. If you need to do something different, like I would say that this is my mom. This is my mom's friend. And I would go about it that way because I know that my approach is, if I need to make this sale, or I haven't had a sale in 1 week, or I haven't had a lock in 3 days, I really fucking need this sale, I'm going to come at it in a different way.